This video contains subject matter which may be inappropriate for some viewers.
Psychologists have flat out told us men can't argue with women. Bring a lot more immigrants in because reasons, and there's more knife attacks. You know you're dealing with some shit when you hear some shit. Everyone's too worried about stuff.
Me when I'm worried about stuff. We're gonna make sense of this if it kills us. Hello, you stunning and bearded woman on the go. Welcome back to my channel. My name is David and you are watching Dismantling Hate, the series where we take on some extremist content with sharp analysis, unapologetic resistance, and just enough comedy to keep us from losing our minds. And today we are going to take a look at Nev's Tech Playground and Archives. I came across this video that is called, now what the hell was it called? How to Tell If the Woke Mind Virus Has Infected Someone, with 2.1 thousand views. And just,
and your IP is being traced right now.
Do you ever find somebody new and you watch one of their videos and you just think, why, how, who, or what? No. Yeah, I found myself asking those questions quite a lot while I was watching some of Nev's videos. I don't even know how to I don't know what's going on. We'll just go from there. The description of his YouTube channel reads, I'm a tech who loves information and AI. Bringing the two together, I firmly believe we can unlock a positive future for all of humanity. I like to learn and grow with technology, and more recently, the AI. I really enjoy making AI audiobooks. God damn it, I didn't read this before I started. The voices are getting better, but I have also taken to enhancing public domain audiobooks from LibreVox and adding AI images to them. These images are wonderful and individual. I can never seem to get the same image output out of two. Okay, I love to preserve the past and create libraries of information. I would very much like to create my own little Alexandrian library on this YouTube. Ooh woo! You can't tell me that that face means anything else other than ooh woo, okay? You can fight me. Actually, no, you can't fight me. Please don't fight me. I'm a flight kind of girl. You probably knew that. Okay, so Nev's Tech Playground and Archives has 45,000 subscribers, and that's a large amount of subscribers, especially considering somebody like this is posting videos like the woke mind virus. Even that phrase, the woke mind virus, that's a red flag in itself, but we'll definitely get into that later. But like, how did this person amass this following if their most recent videos are getting 9 views, 21 views, 18 views, 27 views, kind of, those are the 4 most recent videos as of this recording. And if you click on the popular videos tab, we get, you know, a bunch of tech videos that have 1.5 million views. There's lots of really highly viewed videos on this channel, but they are in fact tips and tricks when it comes to your technology. So somebody's alcoholic Midwestern aunt is Googling how to turn on HP laptop, and then they're getting this video. He hasn't necessarily amassed 45,000 subscribers for the quality of his thought. And you know what? That is a little bit ableist, because the way that somebody communicates their thought isn't necessarily congruent with the quality of their thought, because expressive language doesn't always match what is going on in here. So we're gonna, I guess, try and figure out what's going on in here. I don't know. We're gonna watch this woke mind virus video. It's a mess, girl. Now let's watch how to tell if the woke mind virus has infected someone. Dismantling Hate starts now. Thank God for editing, because if I had to do this in one take, so the description on this video reads, are we redefining racism out of reality? In this video, I break down a simple test to see if the woke mind virus has altered someone's view of truth. I can't. This is not. When someone refuses to call racial abuse between minorities racism and instead insists it's colorism, despite dictionary and legal definitions, something's wrong. I talk about how educated people, especially those in university environments, often reject standard meanings in favor of ideological ones. This isn't just a debate over words, it's a sign of how critical theory and postmodernist thinking have infected rational conversations. Let me know in the comments, am I wrong? Or are we watching society fall into ideological madness? Oh, the ideological madness. Hashtag woke mind virus, hashtag racism versus colorism, hashtag language matters, hashtag critical theory, hashtag cultural commentary. Oh, sorry. I have to slide over. I haven't done this in a while. Okay. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit sick. Just a tiny bit. Like Phoebe from Friends, my sexy, sexy phlegm. Yeah. Don't enjoy the sound of my raspy voice too much. Okay? Okay, here's Neve.
Buddhism is the best religion for taking overly complicated things and making them simple. What you see right here is very important. It's the yin and the yang. Within bad, you get good. Within good, you get bad.
Now, I have to say, the first time that I watched this video, I was folding my laundry, you know, as you probably are right now, or your dishwasher or something. I thought there was potential that this might be a character or a persona that someone was playing. And also, we watched the beginning. It's a cold open like that. This is how it really starts. But no, this man is legitimate and earnest. So just if that's what you're thinking, because that's what I was thinking, we're starting with Buddhism. You know, we have the yin and we have the yang. Keep up.
Have 100% good. You can't have 100% bad. There needs to be a balance. There is a balance. We all know about these balance. You got Luke and Vader back there. But Vader, him and of himself, he wasn't totally a bad guy. Luke wasn't totally a good guy. But they both had a balance. They were out.
Yeah, life is about balance. Shut up, David.
What I want to do... Oh, geez, I'm sorry to bring Star Wars into social justice stuff.
I don't know anything about Star Wars. Not a damn thing. I spent my time watching gay stuff, like RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, I wasn't watching that.
But it is possible to get too engorged with social justice.
Yeah, it's the language. Like, don't get engorged with me, Nev. I don't know.
And we've definitely come to a point where we've gone too far. Gotta make sure that arm stays low. Anyways, we've gone
it's a fascist joke. It's a fascism joke. It's a salute joke. It's not a good joke. It's not really a funny joke either, or a clever joke. I don't know. There's just like each individual red flag on its own isn't necessarily that bad, but then when you compile them or engorge them, if you will, and we can start to question the character of this person maybe just a little bit.
And it's mainly the females that have...
And that's where I was told, yeah, it's mainly you females out there. Also, the sound of the chair moving gives me life. I love it. I love it.
A little bit too far. And the thing is, men can't do anything about women going off. Women have to catch women on their...
There's an ad.
A simple thumb trick discovered by NASA scientists
and it's AI
could be the key
garbage.
to reversing memory decline.
Okay, I pay for premium, but on my personal account. This is from my David Day account, and I'm not paying premium on my David Day account, and I'm not watching this garbage on my personal account, okay? So that's why this AI grandma is talking about a thumb trick.
On their bad ideas.
Right, yeah, okay, women have to catch women, which... doesn't make sense at all. Everybody should be calling everybody on their bad behavior.
It's okay that women have bad ideas. Women are capable of having bad ideas.
What?
Why I need to say it's women is because legitimately psychologists have flat out told us men can't argue with women.
But why? Let's wait for the answer. Why?
Men need to argue with women, and if they don't, then we're all screwed, basically.
No, I did not want to film today, but this is why I started with this. you're not screwed. Might there be sociocultural differences in the way that masculine folks might approach a conversation versus a feminized folk might approach a conversation? Like, there are idiosyncrasies in how different people go about having a conversation, and one might involve a little bit more care and one might not, but those sweeping generalizations don't really help anybody. And yeah, it just, like, men can argue with women, women can argue with men, everybody can call everybody on their bad behavior. You will be able, there isn't a human being on this earth that you won't be able to talk to unless there's other circumstances going on. If you meet them with kindness and empathy and actually like listen to them, right? It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman talking to a man or a woman. If you are honestly engaging in a conversation, you should be able to reach somebody. And if you can't reach them, that has nothing to do with them being a man or a woman. Okay?
Just want to point proof out as Trump and Kamala Harris. Like, Kamala Harris.
Yeah, pronouncing, like, Kamala pronouncing her name wrong. Yeah,
Had all of the points. She had all of the social justice whatevs. Didn't work because the silent majority.
There's just so many, like, okay, she had all the social justice things. Well, no, she didn't. She was still, like, arguably, she's like center right. There's no like real left leaning party if we look at what liberalism actually is and what it looks like in different parts of the world. That's also not why it didn't work. There would be numerous reasons why it didn't work, and it's not the silent majority. Just, yeah, it's an 11-minute video and I feel like we're gonna be here for an hour.
Look the other way. The same happened in the 60s.
Turn the other cheek in the name of the Father, the Son, and the house of Gucci.
With the hippies. The silent majority pushed one way. But man, the hippies never actually managed to do as much as the individuals pushing DEI. Now,
DEI.
It is possible for things to get too far. And if you don't know what that looks like, then there's issues. We all need to be equal.
Okay, that's a good sentence. Do you think his glasses are designed that way so you get like not tunnel vision, but so you don't have periphery, so you wouldn't get distracted as much? Somebody with an attention problem, I feel like that might help with that. And it also wouldn't help that there's all that stuff up on the wall behind him. Anyway.
Now, sometimes that means equity, but it absolutely does not mean the DEI that we have. Anyways, I'm 2.5 minutes into this. I gotta get you to the test.
We're only 2.5 minutes. Right, because we're here for the test. How to tell if the woke mind virus has infected someone. That's why we're here. It's the reason for the season. Are you listening?
This is the test that you can tell. There is a difference between racism and institutionalized racism.
Okay, the first time I listened to this, I wasn't able to actually like grasp what he was talking about. So he's saying there's a difference between racism and institutionalized racism, and that makes sense, right? The institutionalized racism would be like housing and zoning and grouping people together based off of their race. And then that starts to trickle down, not economics, but then that starts to trickle down to where people can get jobs, where they can go buy food deserts and things like that. So the systemic racism is the way that our systems are built. I think he's saying that racism then only exists amongst like social situations and the way that one individual person might treat another person based off of their race and nothing else. So then all institutionalized racism would also be racism, but not all racism would be institutionalized racism. But you can't really start to pick apart at it because there would be racism that influences. Like, if you have policymakers that are racist and they are in charge of building and defining the policies of the structures, then that would carry over. And then the structures would reinforce those ideas socially to the people on an individual basis. So it's a very if and this and or that kind of deal. It's hard to differentiate. Well, it's not, but it's hard to separate them because it's a very all-encompassing kind of garbage, you know?
If you don't know the difference between racism and institutionalized racism, you need to look it up. Now, here's the thing. We live in a particular reality.
We do.
And a lot of people don't particularly like that. They don't think
particularly
borders are real. They don't think that rules and laws are real. But at the same time...
Yeah, but who is making those laws and why are they making those laws and how are they enforcing those laws and yeah.
Not looking at where in the spectrum their ideas have them. And unfortunately, it's to the left in the form of anarchy. And, what nobody wants to know or admit is if you go too far right, you get an evil structure of order. Like a really messed up structure that actually has a lot of chaos in it. And
that's good. That's good.
Refer to the Catholic Church back in the day. And, oh man,
And also contemporarily, but okay, yes.
I mean, if you look at what the Habsburgs did in the 30 Years' War and the fighting going on between the Protestants and the Catholics, like, there's a reason for some of those fightings to go on, but some of the fighting that went on was just stupid.
I love that now there's an ad playing on the screen behind him. He does also seem to know like a lot of history. I'm not familiar with what he was just talking about. So I do believe that he is extremely knowledgeable. Like, I think this man stays reading. Unfortunately, I think the majority of it probably comes from a lack of education, maybe like formalized education, other than like self-guided reading. But it's like there's knowledge and information there, but the framework that it's worked into is questionable. So maybe that is more of like the people that he spent time around or the communities that he's a part of online. I don't know. Something is missing here. You know? Something doesn't seem right.
You go too far right. Doesn't work out. If you go...
Oh, that's a nice tomato.
I got a Mazzato knife, and what followed was an absolute fiasco.
This is AI.
So I almost made the dumbest mistake of my life. I got this handcrafted Japanese-like...
Shut up.
If you go too far left, what's the opposite of order? It's chaos.
Okay.
So if you go so far left, you lose rules, no borders, no...
It is the horseshoe theory. So if you have the right and the left, right, starting in the middle, and then you have the right and the left, and the extremes are actually quite close to each other at the bottom of the horseshoe, or the top of the horseshoe, however you position your horseshoe. I don't know, you like that? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Laws, and then eventually there's no laws for the women getting abused, let's say.
Okay, let's see
and hurt, and that is legitimately happening more and more. We're looking over in Europe. We're looking over here. Knife attacks in Europe are way up, and I have difficulties talking about this. People will shut me down, tell me to shush.
Like, that's so broad, though. Just saying that knife attacks in Europe are way up. Okay, so I found this graphic, and this is from worldpopulationreview.com, and it lists, this is from 2021, so it's a little bit outdated, but the top countries that had stabbing deaths. I guess this is deaths, so this isn't necessarily attacks, what he was talking about. But the top 10 that I'm looking at here aren't even European countries. So it would be higher in the United States. But again, it's deaths and not attacks. So that's not really what he's saying. But it's hard if he doesn't cite his own things. So then we can go look. I don't know. I don't think it particularly matters, but yeah, we should always slow down and like think about and maybe Google things that somebody says online, right?
Of the best memes that you know the woman, the meme of a woman like she's like getting in on someone. She is arguing with the person who is arguing about what's happening over in Europe. Over in Europe, there was a Syrian spring that came and then bring a lot more immigrants in because reasons, and there's more knife attacks.
Okay, yes, that's the thing. So I do have family in Germany, and I remember being there, and there were a lot of Syrian refugees at the time. I was there in about 2015, and at that point, a lot of people were immigrating from Syria to different countries, Germany being one of them. most likely because of proximity and they could be safe there. It's not like these people are just like waking up one morning and it's not like they're me moving from city to city and being safe in both cities. No, they're not doing it on a whim or just like, I think I might have a better life over here. Tee-hee. No, they are escaping war-torn countries. So why? Yeah, it just... These people, sure, there may be bad immigrants and there are bad people who are not immigrants. Like the knife attacks going up because of the immigrants. But there was a lot of racism going on there too. Like a lot of German people were really hateful towards Syrian refugees at the time. I remember seeing that at train stations and stuff when I was there. So it would be interesting to look at the data, but it is really like a chicken or the egg situation. Are there knife attacks? If the knife attacks are rising with all of the Syrian refugees in European countries, is that because the Syrian refugees are just attacking people with knives because they have nothing better to do? Or are they defending themselves against racist people and it escalates and you have to take something to protect yourself with? Because if people were being hateful to me like that everywhere, I might carry a little protection around with me. It would be bear spray, it wouldn't be a knife. Because I think if you bring a knife... Or no, maybe that was for a firearm. You're more likely to actually injure yourself with it if you take it for self-defense purposes. But yeah, it's very meandery, and I get it. I'm a meandery kind of girl, but still.
Germany more than ever before. Things are getting really crazy over there. Of course, a lot of people, you don't want to look into this. Nobody wants to look into this. Everyone wants to look at their work and keep their work going, even though this information is like clearly available out there. And this isn't even conspiracy theorist stuff. Guys, just like look at world news. Now what we need, what the Buddha keeps saying is we need balance. We need to come to the middle. We need to come to the center. But what I need to point out, the biggest fault of the far left is that people don't actually agree with you as much as you think they do. They just don't say anything because they're worried that if they do say something, then some kind of spiritual awakening will happen within, a witch hunt. Basically a witch hunt. Whatever reversed witch hunt is, that will happen. And yeah...
Did you understand that? I did not.
It has happened. But if you think that, here's how you know you drunk the Kool-Aid. Okay, flat out. If you think that a black...
okay. I was going to say, we were talking about the woke mind virus. We'll go back a few seconds here and just okay, listen.
If you think that...
Okay, here's how you know you drank the Kool-Aid.
Okay, flat out. Mm-hmm. If you think that a black person beating up on an Asian person is not racism... Let's say it's because COVID. You brought COVID into my country. Like that happened. That legitimately happened many times.
Okay, already I'm going to stop it, right? Because it is like an individual basis versus like a community, like a macro view of it all. Because is it one individual fight? Or is it groups of people fighting against another group of people? Because you wouldn't really... If you just walk around with the idea that every person of a certain race is responsible for the coronavirus in your country, that is asinine and it makes no sense, right? Okay.
New York particularly was really rough. If you say that is colorism and not racism, get a dictionary.
Okay, fine. I'll get a dictionary. I don't know what colorism means. Colorism is a form of discrimination where individuals within the same racial or ethnic group are treated differently based on their skin tone, particularly favoring lighter skin over darker skin. It's a manifestation of racism that operates within ethnic groups and can impact various aspects of life, including beauty standards, economic opportunities, and even perceptions of attractiveness. Okay, so people from within the same group discriminating each other based off of the tone of their skin, not necessarily the race of which they are a part of. So the call is coming from within the house. Inside the house, that's what colorism means. Okay.
I'm pretty sure in Canada it's Webster's, and in America...
Okay, wait, but how did colorism come into this? We just gotta go back. We're gonna make sense of this if it kills us.
Is colorism and not racism.
No, go back. Okay.
Black person beating up on an Asian person is not racism. Let's say it's because COVID. Oh, you brought COVID into my country. Like that happened.
So he's saying it's wrong if you think that's colorism, of which I guess by the definition that we just read wouldn't be, because they, like, he's saying a black person and an Asian person. But even the way that you're quantifying like a black person could be of Asian descent or could have some Asian genealogy or geology. No, that's rocks. Genography. You could. Okay.
Legitimately happened many times in New York, particularly. It was really rough. If you say that is colorism and not racism.
Here's the thing though, so many people online do this where they're harping on the definition of something, and like you really just have to take a step back and go, okay, so if you're right about your distinctions seemingly without a difference, what's the point? What are we leading to? Because definitions really don't matter that much. Like, they do matter, but what are you building a case towards? That's really what we're here for, and we don't know yet. Do you know? I don't know.
Get a dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Webster's.
I'm pretty sure in Canada it's Webster's, and in America it's, I forget. Sure. But in the court of law, if you go to the court of law, the word of the law is important. The guy in maintenance told me about this. He got out of charges because of the letter of the law. The letter of the law was based off of the dictionary. And when they got to the dictionary definition, it wasn't what he said. So we all go off of the dictionary and law. If you don't go off of the dictionary and law, you are an anarchist.
Well, who made the dictionary and the law? Might there have been some ulterior motives, but I'm digging pretty deep now into this.
You are an anarchist.
Yes. I just want equality and a universal basic income and free healthcare. That's not anarchy. It actually would be the opposite of anarchy, which is what we're seeing now.
Look up racism, because you will find that is an exact definition of racism. Now, here's the part that bothers me.
What is an exact definition of racism?
Taught these people, women particularly, mostly.
Yeah, again, we're blaming it on the women. It's just,
Go to McMaster University, who taught these women that institutionalized racism is the definition of racism. They hijacked the whole thing.
But how does that make a point? Or even if you are conflating the two things, they do still fit quite well within each other and overlap. Like the Venn diagram, almost all of it would be in the middle. Yes, there would be stuff on either side and the circles in standalone, but what are we saying? What's the point? There's no point. I'm going to warn you right now, but you knew that if you're still here.
It really bothers me. It's not just 1, 2. So this is the way the argument goes, or this is the way ultimately it goes. They tell me that racism is institutionalized, and
it is though.
Racism is the only racism. So I start working them backwards, and I get to the dictionary.
But it would, like I was saying before, they would kind of build off of each other, and then at some point you just can't pull them apart anymore. So yeah,
dictionary, and they say that dictionary was made by the white man.
It was. Who's Webster? I haven't looked, but I feel like I would bet you my bottom dollar that Webster was a white man. Oh, good, another ad.
The most productive people aren't motivated. They're automated. The old me, I was always behind.
Oh, God. Can anybody do something on their own these days, or do we have to automate it all? Good Christ.
So what law are you going off of?
For what?
What? You were educated. You went to the place and got educated. Mm-hmm. You went to a place of order, and with this, you got these pieces of paper. You got these pieces of paper, but now that you have these pieces of paper, you're like, order doesn't matter.
Does he talk, like, are the pieces of paper like degrees? Is that what he's talking about? And I love how he just sees like the automatopoeia of, you got this. Okay.
Nothing matters. Definitions don't matter if I don't agree with them.
That's interesting. That's kind of what I said before, and I am university educated, so I'm kind of fitting into what he's saying here.
This doesn't matter. And in that is the woke mind vibe. Like when you sense that, then you know they've been bit by the woke mind virus. Like I said, I've had to break people out of cults before. I've had to get them out of relationships before. So you know you're dealing with some shit when you hear some shit.
There's you know you're in some shit when you're dealing with some shit. Well, I ought to write that one down.
I don't need my family. All I need is God. David Miscavige says my family is not good for my, what'd they call it? Subversive. Man, it's been so long since I knew the lingo. Suppressive person. Time to fair game them. Okay, it's coming back now. So women will know with other women when they're in a bad relationship. There are certain words that he'll say, that she'll say, that you know he doesn't know what he does. He's been drinking. He overreacts. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Wouldn't that be bad qualities for anybody, regardless of gender? And how is this the woke mind vibe? It makes no goddamn sense, but this is why we're here. We're almost done.
He apologizes later. He cries. He says it'll never happen again. I fell down the stairs. You know, there's these certain things that people say.
You mean abuse is what he's talking about?
That automatically they click you in. Like, oh, that's what's up.
Yes.
And as soon as I hear a woman say that it's colorism if a black man is racist against a Asian man.
But by the definition of colorism, from what I read online, that wouldn't be. Or unless there's nuance that I don't know from a very rudimentary Google search, which could also be very likely. How is that connecting? It doesn't. Of
COVID, if they say that's colorism, and then the next thing I get out of them is that racism and institutionalized racism are the same thing, and then they fight me on well, the definition needs to change. Whoa, what's going on? What's going on?
But let's concede and say that, okay, they're two different things. I'd agree with you that racism and institutionalized racism are two different things. If this, then what? What's the argument? This is all exposition and we're just wasting time talking about nothing.
What's going on? That's just a little bit, I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, think about it.
And no one else?
Now, this is tech-related because the social justice warriors have invaded our spaces everywhere.
It's me.
Every place has changed. Everyone's too worried about stuff.
Me when I'm worried about stuff?
In the 80s, we started closing down parks in Toronto, Ontario. My village has a park that's closed down because of an overly litigious SOB. And
what does that have to do with anything?
now it seems like we're not allowed to think things. We're not allowed to say things, or we have to think.
Wait, is the overly litigious SOB, is that like somebody in government that did that? Because the first time that I watched this, I thought the overly litigious SOB would be like some guy out there doing stupid things in that park, so they had to close it down. But now this is sounding like politics.
In a particular way, or people will close down our parks. That sucks. It sucks.
Well, yes.
And I want to get back to normal. The old normal. Anyways, that's how you can tell if you or the person that you're talking to has been taken over by woke mind virus. Thanks for listening, guys.
So like I said, this video has like 2,100 views, which is a big spike from his most recent videos. Like, reading some of the comments here, it really reinforces what we were saying before. I'm a woman and there's nothing wrong with men arguing with women. If women refuse to accept truth simply because it's coming from a man, then that in itself is a problem. Being able to recognize these things is essential to critical thinking, something that is sadly in short supply these days. This is a good one. When people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. You can't just say it's mainly women that go too far far and not substantiate that claim, what's your evidence for that? This one is such a mess. And then he responded to that comment and said, keep watching, I do explain. Well, no, you didn't really. And then somebody says, I know, right? Where are his citations in the video? But also, where are your citations for seeing he needs to provide evidence for every one of his statements? It's an 11-minute video. You want to be here for 11 hours listening to APA? Yes, APA, because that is superior. And no, I'm not going to provide you a citation for that. Where's his evidence that it's mainly women that go too far? Citation, Adam and Eve, all of human history, 10,000 BC. April 2025, accessed April 7th. In the beginning, there were 1, 2, 3. Adam and Eve and my best friend Steve. Yeah. There was another video of his that I watched that said that was framed around like why therapists are destroying us or why therapists are bad. And he spends like a whole 12-minute video again just kind of shitting on therapists. And then at the very end of the video, the last 5 seconds, he goes, but I love mine. I don't know what I'd do without him. Okay, bye guys. It's just like, what? You just said therapists were so bad and evil and have all these ulterior motives, but you love yours. Okay, what? I haven't filmed a video in a while. If you watch a lot of my Dismantling Hate videos, you wouldn't have noticed anything because I do a lot of batch filming. So I'm slowly getting caught up from videos that I filmed back in like February, but I actually haven't sat down to film anything in a really long while. So if you're here, thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate you being here. Subscribe to this channel if you like this video. You can see all kinds of other stuff on my channel: podcast, D-Talk, Dismantling Hate, DSM travel. Speaking of travel, I am going to leave a tiny little moment here for you to watch the DSM vlogs. Now, this was a 14-day part series that I did last year, before all the things happened in the United States of America, and I toured around with my best friend Amber, and we saw some world's largest things, did a lot of touring. There's so much content on my channel from that trip, so I'll put a little blip in here that you can get a little taste if you're interested in that. And yeah, other than that, thanks for being here. Drink your water, mind your business, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. What is it? What did the Titanic hit?
Iceberg.
Yeah. That very exactly that, Amber. Wow, who knew there were so many stuff and things? Okay, Amber, because that's it now in Canada, right?
That's it.
Oh yeah, the boathouse. Oh, because it looks like a boat.
Oh, cool.
Were you silenced or were you silent?
Oh, silent.
It's a cabbage from my garden. Okay, so this is New Westminster, so now we're gonna go and cross the border. Washington, that's where we're going. Do you remember our first stop in Washington?
Peace Arch.
The International Peace Arch. So we're gonna go do border services. So we'll see you at the Peace Arch. Bye. Healing?
And heal.
Okay. Perfect.
Perfection.
All right. Well.